Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am
Full access to proceedings. He warned against the use of court-martial in the matter.
The Nigerian authorities must understand that when people are accused of grievous offenses, you can't just assume that they have committed the offense until a proper trial has taken place. And the trial has taken place at the proper forum. The proper forum for treating cases of treason is the Federal High Court. There's no room for court-martial. So anything they are doing in the court-martial is illegal, is unjust, is not fair hearing, it's unknown to law. When they are ready, they will bring the coup plotters or alleged coup plotters to the Federal High Court. And they must allow the press unfettered access to the trial.
The trial continues with limited information available to the public. Ubong Usoro, Global TV News.
Meanwhile, the Federal High Court has barred journalists from covering the bail proceedings of 6 defendants accused of plotting a coup against the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Court officials backed by operatives of the Department of State Services directed reporters to vacate the courtroom shortly before the trial judge, Justice Joyce Abdulmalik, took her seat. A court official who did not disclose his name told journalists that the directives came from the judge, while an SSS operative said he would offer an explanation later. Some politicians have taken steps in a suit seeking the deregistration of certain political parties, with all parties in the matter now properly before the court. The group insists that the Independent and National Electoral Commission (INEC) must act without bias and deregister parties that fail to meet constitutional requirements. Ubong Usoro tells us more.
At the proceedings, the court held that the plaintiff's processes, as well as those of the defendants, were properly filed and served. It also ordered that several political parties, including the African Democratic Congress, Action Alliance, Accord Party, Zenith Labour Party, and Allied People's Movement, be joined in the suit, making them proper respondents before the court. Speaking after the proceedings, one of the counsel of the interested parties clarified that the case is not about internal disputes within political parties, but about compliance with constitutional provisions. He explained that as far back as December 2025, concerns had been raised that some political parties no longer meet the constitutional threshold required to remain registered. He further questioned why INEC, which deregistered 74 political parties in 2020 under similar provisions, appeared reluctant to take similar actions now.
If ADC is having issues internal, that is their internal problem. That is not our case. Our case is that as at the time we filed our suit in December 2025, that we are concerned that certain number of political parties have not met the constitutional threshold to continue to exist as a political party.
The court noted that the approach is aimed at ensuring efficiency and enabling the delivering of a composite judgment, especially as the timeline for party primaries draws closer.
By the 5th of May 2026, or before then, all parties who have not filed any process or processes should file their processes before that date, so that at the end of the day, on the 5th of May, both the main suit, that is the amended originating summons, preliminary objections, counter affidavit, or any other process will be composite judgment.
The interested party maintained that the suit is driven by the need to ensure accountability and adherence to the law, urging the courts to compel INEC to act in line with constitutional provisions. Ubong Usoro, Global TV News.
Proceedings at the Federal High Court in Abuja have taken a new turn in the case involving activist Omoyele Sowore and others. with the defense describing the suits as baseless and politically motivated. Ubong Osoro tells us more.
At the resumed hearing before Justice Nwite, counsel to the defendants argued that the case is dead on arrival, alleging that it was initiated through the influence of Senator Ned Nwoko using state institutions. The defense maintained that the matter amounts to an abuse of legal process, insisting that law enforcement agencies should not be used to pursue personal grievances. The further stated that the case, which dated back several years, ought to have been filed as a civil matter if it concerns reputation or personal claims. However, the court did not proceed with the adoption of the motions as scheduled. This follows the recent elevation of Justice Nwite to the Court of Appeal, with the judge declining to take further applications and instead adjourning the matter to a later date for continuation. Omoyele Sowore described the case as one of those frivolous cases where state institutions are being used to pursue personal interests.
This is a case that has been on since 2021. It was a case filed by Nigeria Police on behalf of Senator Ned Nwoko when he was in the PDP. Now he's in the APC. And we are just in filing motions to let the judge know that it's not a serious case.
Marshal Abubakar said the matter should never have come this far, as issues relating to personal reputation ought to be addressed in a civil court, not through criminal prosecution, and advised that it should be laid to rest.
We are advising the current Commissioner of Police in the FCC that he ought not and he should not inherit a fight that has nothing absolutely to do with him or that has any grants of justice to fulfill or to meet. This case is spent. This case ought not to be in court at this time.
The defense team emphasized that issues relating to alleged defamation or reputational harm should not be addressed through civil litigation, rather through criminal prosecution involving state agency. The defense has expressed confidence that the case will not succeed, as legal arguments continue over what they describe as improper use of state resources in a private dispute. Ubong Osoro, Global TV News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has charged Nigeria's newly appointed ambassadors and high commissioners to work towards improving the country's global image. Tinubu gave the charge at the opening of an induction course for the envoys held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Abuja. Represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, the President said their appointments reflected the administration's confidence in their ability to advance Nigeria's interests on the international stage. He also urged them to pursue foreign investments and strengthen strategic partnerships. Ovalanta Kano State House of Assembly has confirmed Murtala Garo as the new Deputy Governor of the state following successful screening. The confirmation followed the presentation and adoption of the report of the ad hoc committee during Monday's plenary, presided over by the Speaker Jibril Falgore. Presenting the report, the chairman of the committee and Deputy Speaker Mohammed Bello said the nomination of Garo followed the resignation of the former Deputy Governor Aminu Gwazo. The federal government has set October 1st, 2026 as the effective date for the implementation of the newly approved duty tour, escort code and other allowances for civil servants on grade levels 0 to 17. The review convened in a circular issued by the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission also covers training, professional development and sector-specific allowances with increases across various categories. However, the Nigerian Labour Congress has described the increment in peculiar allowance as inadequate, saying it fell short of addressing the impact of inflation on workers' living condition and called for border interventions to improve welfare. The federal government has announced the introduction of a national textbook ranking system for primary, junior, and secondary schools as part of efforts to improve quality and standardization in Nigeria's education sector. In a statement issued by its Director of Press and Public Relations, Folashade Barowo, The Ministry of Education said the initiative is designed to curb the proliferation of substandard textbooks and ensure that only curriculum compliant and high-quality materials are used in classrooms. The statement noted that the policy also stipulates that any textbook that is not ranked under the new system will not be allowed for use in schools regardless of its previous approval status. The Independent National Electoral Commission has stepped up preparations for the June 20th, 2026 Ekiti State Governorship election, convening a high-level implementation meeting focused on voter education, publicity, and inclusive participation across the state. In a post obtained from the Commission's X handle, speaking at the meeting, the resident Electoral Commissioner for Ekiti State, Bumi Omosine-Demi, described the engagement as timely and strategic, stressing that voter education remains the foundation of a credible electoral process. He outlined key priorities for INEC, including expanding voter awareness campaigns, tackle fake news, promoting peaceful participation, and strengthening confidence in the electoral process. New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, has fixed May 26 for its primaries for all elective positions ahead of the 2027 general elections. The party National Publicity Secretary Ladipo Johnson, in a statement in Abuja, said that the party would adopt the consensus mode of election in all wards across the country. He also disclosed that INEC had on April 23rd concluded a successful verification exercise of the party's administrative and operational structure at its national secretariat in Abuja. You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign, and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Thanks for joining us. In the next 24 hours, much of the region will enjoy stable and calm conditions through the morning. However, parts of Niger, Kwara, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, some parts of southern Taraba may experience brief periods of light rain. Meanwhile, the fringes of the northeastern parts of the country are likely to see slight dust haze. As we move into the afternoon and evening, conditions will shift with rising temperatures and more favorable atmospheric patterns. Rainfall activities is expected to intensify. Along the coastline, most cities along the region will see rainfall records between 10 to 20 millimeters. Inland areas, including parts of Edo, Imo, some parts of southwest, and the high ground areas of the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, some parts of Kogi, Niger, and Kwara have a strong chance of light to moderate rainfall later in the day. And that's your forecast. Stay informed and plan your day accordingly. Thanks for watching.
You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is News Cycle on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business news now, the Nigerian Revenue Service, NRS, says it has not introduced any new vehicle tax. Debunking individual misinformation, the special advisor to the NRS chairman and spokesperson for the service, Dari Adekunbi, said the federal government has not introduced any fresh tax on vehicles as claimed in the material. He added that a new vehicle tax has been imposed by the government effective July 1st. Moving on now to Nigeria's external reserves declined by about 731 million, pressure on the country's foreign exchange buffers. In a data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN shows reserves fell from $48.18 billion on April 1st to $48.45 billion as of April 23rd, representing an average weekly decline of about $233 million. The The latest movement extends a broader trend of reserve drawdowns, demonstrating the pressure of monitoring authorities as a balanced exchange rate stability. The movement reflects a cautious market mood shaped by uncertainty around global growth, oil supply risks, and monetary policy direction in advanced economics. Index now protesters have gathered outside Buckingham Palace in London to oppose King Charles III's state visit to the United States. The demonstration comes amid criticism of the British monarch's engagement with US President Donald Trump. Mukhtar Qasim has more.
Members of the Stop Trump coalition staged a colorful, peaceful protest outside the gates of Buckingham Palace, voicing strong opposition to the king's diplomatic visit. Demonstrators, some in costumes, accused the British monarch of endorsing policies they say are harmful to global stability.
It is absolutely wrong for the king to be whining and dining with the warmonger-in-chief when he has lit the fuse on a stick of dynamite underneath the global economy and driving a cost of living crisis. And the UK government is allowing the US to use our air bases for US military aircraft to load up with bombs, take off and conduct strikes in Iran. That makes us complicit. And so sending the king over completely green lights Donald Trump's actions on the world stage, which are causing so much chaos around. Well, I hope King Charles reflects on the difficult position that he is in and what this actually means, and understands the sense from the British people that we are sick and tired of going down a failed strategy